Welcome back to On Assignment. President Trump is used to being a divisive figure. He's even used to low approval numbers. But here in South Korea, his numbers are especially harsh. Only 17% of those asked in a recent poll said they had confidence in him. That's a 71-point drop from Obama standing here. Of course, South Koreans don't get a vote on who becomes the president of the United States, but they do have strong opinions on that. Opinions they aired the day President Trump landed here. When President Trump rolled into Seoul, crowds lined the streets. Many were here to welcome the president with open arms, American flags, and a rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn early night?
Traditionally, South Koreans have welcomed Americans, servicemen and presidents alike, warmly.
We believe United States, and we love United States.
But things are changing here. Just across the street, we found another, equally passionate crowd. They were here to tell the American president to go home. Police officers cordoned off the protesters who tried to surge forward. President Trump is expected to pass by here any minute. The police have just started to push in, trying to keep the protesters back. They don't want them to block the president's path. But things soon calmed down again. This was not a violent crowd.
You're holding a sign?
Yep.
What does it say?
It says, peace, not war.
Peace, not war.
Yeah.
Soo-Yeon Jung is 29 years old. She's one of the leaders of the protest.
In here, there are lots of students, university students, who doesn't want Donald Trump visiting Korea.
The divide is striking. Those waving the American flags are generally older. Those holding up the "No Trump, no war" signs tend to be much younger.
The younger generation here, they're not so interested in North Korea because they haven't grown up with it in their lives. Older generation, they remember when it was just Korea, or the Japanese colonial era, for example. So they have more of a direct sense of, there was one country and now we're divided.
Daniel Tudor came here as a teacher, but fell in love with South Korea. He now runs a chain of bars that serve craft beer. He says for the older generation, there is a sense of unfinished business with North Korea.
I think probably for that generation, if you're of that age, you might think, well, why don't we just get this done? In my lifetime, I want to see this over, regardless of what happens.
The memory of the bitter war between North and South defines the Korean Peninsula in a profound way. No one here disputes the fact that it was a massive influx of U.S. troops that saved South Korea from falling into communist hands. For generations, gratitude for that and for the protection that U.S. troops still stationed here 64 years after the end of the fighting defined this country. Not anymore. By nightfall, the number of anti-Trump protesters swelled. Soo-Yeon and her fellow protesters had watched the president's speech on their phones. This is, after all, South Korea. Everything here is streamed live.
USA!
On the pro-American side of the street,
Mr. Trump!
the feeling was that, if anything, the president should have gone further.
We strongly demand, request, Mr. Donald Trump, please strike North Korea right now. He is thinking about our casualty, but I want to say to him, don't worry, please don't worry, Koreans. We are ready to sacrifice our lives.
Chae Tae-sun was a lieutenant colonel in the South Korean army. His stance is stoic and simple. Better dead than red.
So you're willing to accept the huge costs that a war would
And
cause?
sacrifice, I may die, which will be fine. Just kill the North Korean Kim Jong-un.
The feeling across the other side of the street was entirely different. Why is he allowed to speak at our parliament? Shouted Soo-Yeon. No Trump, no war. By day, Soo-Yeon works as a pharmacist. In Korea, it takes 4 years of medical school on top of a good college education to qualify for the job. She's worked hard to get here, but when we sat down to talk, She sounded downbeat about her future.
We can think about our future. Hey, think about it. If we keep our money or we keep our job, we do lots of things for our future, we study hard. But eventually, if there's a war happen, it's nothing.
It all goes away.
We can't imagine our future.
It's a historical irony that the younger generations here who grew up in modern Seoul, one of the richest cities in Asia, are bitter about their future.
I think we lost our own independent power at the global table.
How does that feel?
If Kim Jong-un or Trump decided to make war in Korean Peninsula, there's nothing we can do. It's a crazy thing.
It's not something that you think about, day to day. But yeah, it's always there.
Do they feel like the shadow of death is hanging over them?
If it really happens, I'll be dead in 5 minutes, so it's better to not think about it.
Okay?
When Soo-young and her friends go out, they don't talk about politics or war. They talk about friends and plans and work.
Do you prepare for potential conflict?
Actually, I don't, because if there's a war, it's gonna be a minute or 2 minutes that I have to. There's no option to be alive. It's like we just live only today.
Live in the moment.
No tomorrow for us. We only have this moment.
So when I go out in the street and I see the places happy and buzzing.
Yeah, that's why. We always having concert and go to movies or love each other, but we only concerned about today. That's why, because we're not sure about tomorrow.
One thing everyone we talked to agreed on is that there may be two Koreas, but one people. They long for the day when they can be reunited with their neighbors and relatives on the other side of the border. But the people of North Korea don't get a vote. Only their leader does, Kim Jong-un. So next, we try to figure out what he is all about and why his regime's pursuit of nuclear power may not be as foolish as it sounds. It's easy to dismiss the regime as a caricature. The bad guys in the Team America movie.
I don't have any weapons of mass destruction, okay, Hans?
But it's worth looking past the bizarre cult of personality and the goose-stepping troops and trying to actually understand what the North Korean leader, Kim Jong-un, might be thinking. Stay with us.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.